Welcome to the apex of sports ownership, the Apex Athletic Collective.
Welcome in, everyone, to episode 85 of Instigate Success. I am your host, as always, Jake Schoen, aka Jakeymuffins, here with instigators and ABA news around the league. It is championship weekend, all-star weekend, everything, all this weekend in St. Louis, Missouri for the ABA, wrapping up the 2024-2025 season. So we will jump into that for this week. Today kicked off events there, and we had a couple of games today. One is final, the other one I believe is underway. Let's jump and show the ABA screen so we can take a look at the games going on there today. And we have let me refresh that page. Got the top four teams left in the ABA, each representing their own region. We've got the defending champion Chicago Fury representing the Central region. They are the number one teams for the power ranking, still undefeated on the season, undefeated since last season, and looking to get a back-to-back victory and championship for the ABA title. Also got out in the West, the Silicon Valley Panthers. They're the number two seed, also undefeated on the season, and a team returning for the Final Four from last season as well. Then we have two new teams this season for the Final Four teams. We have the Buffalo Extreme number three, one loss on the season, a very close game against the Binghamton Bulldogs. Bulldogs were the representative of the East last season, so competitive team there as well. And then we've also got in the South the Austin Bats, another team do for this season. And there we go. Looks like it is finally up there. Got that up, and let's zoom in over there. Zoomed in a little too far, but there we go. So today we had the first matchup there. You see there between the Buffalo Extreme and Silicon Valley Panthers. That game was at 3 p.m. and that was in St. Louis time, which I found out that's an hour off. It does seem so. It's 4 p.m. Eastern, and then that would make the Fury game at 7 p.m. Eastern. So hour off compared to us on the East Coast here. But all those games taking place and all the events this weekend taking place at the St. Louis Community College, Forest Park in St. Louis, Missouri. You see there, it does have a link at the bottom of this graphic. If you are interested in watching these live, there is the link here. It is a pay link as far as I can tell. I've tried to find a free link. It looks like it is a $19.99, so basically $20 to watch these games going on. If you are interested, I believe that is going to be for all the games this weekend, as best as I can tell, and that is all streaming through that live stream STL.TV website. They also do have an app if you have Roku or a Roku TV. They do have the app on that, so you can watch the games this weekend, all the events and such for ABA All Star and Championship Weekend on that platform, either through the website or through their app on Roku. So we did have one of these games already take place today. I did not get a chance to watch the games. However, I did see a couple of posts from the Extreme. And remember, we talked about this last time we went over the teams remaining. The Austin Bats got ranked the number 4 seed, even though they are undefeated on the season. The Buffalo Extreme got that 3 seed, and because of how the seeding works, it's the 1 versus the 4, and then the 3 versus the 2. Just the number 1 seed gets the lowest ranked seed remaining, and then the 2 and the 3 go and play. But it was interesting to note that the Extreme got that number 3 seed being a one-loss team with the other 3 teams being undefeated. Obviously, though, like I said, I think the Extreme are extremely talented team and a team capable of winning a championship. And they had that first matchup earlier today. At halftime, it was 44-42. Extreme out in front by 2 at half, led by Howard Washington, 15 points and 3 assists. That was at half. And like I said, I always keep track of Howard Washington and the Extreme. Being a Syracuse grad, I was in college the same time as him, so that is a player I keep an eye on. He was same year as me as far as Syracuse goes. Think back then O'Shea Brissett was also on the team, NBA champion at this point. But just something I always keep an eye on, and I think that team is very talented. So nice to see him leading the way there at half. They did hit the final score though a few hours ago, and it looks like the final score. We'll have to get the graphic up for next week, but the final score it was 85-93 with the Silicon Valley Panthers moving on. So Panthers defending that number 2 over the number 3, so they do win. Moving on with the higher ranked seed, and they move on after an impressive second half. Again, I did not get a chance to watch it, so I'm just going off of the posts that have the halftime and the full-time score. So that would make it so that the Panthers went on in the second half to put 51 points compared to only 41 points for the Extreme. So a 2-point game at half with an 11-point difference there in the second half. So a big difference there. Ultimately, an 8-point win for the Silicon Valley Panthers. They will be moving on to the championship game on Sunday, where they await the winner of the Fury and Bats game. I'm checking. I don't see any posts, at least so far, with updates in regards to that game. If any come through while we're still up on this stream, I definitely will pass along and share that. But as of right now, I do not see any updates there in regards to that matchup. So just keep an eye out on that. But the Silicon Valley Panthers looking to get a championship this Sunday against either the Chicago Fury or Austin Bats. Buffalo Extreme with an amazing season this year, 2024-2025 season. Finish year with 2 losses. Obviously, they will put themselves in as a Final Four team with that. So just short of the championship. But just one more game for them to reach next season if they can repeat their success, next year. But a very talented team that I think, as long as they've got some of these guys on the roster again next year, a team that I think is very capable of returning to that Final Four and possibly getting a little bit further next season. Very talented team last season as well. Ultimately, they were in the power rankings throughout the season last season as well as this season. We could actually jump and take a look at the power rankings as well. But a team consistently ranked there, and one we expect to be in the rankings again next year. So as we jump down to the power rankings here, you can see Buffalo Extreme, even though they had a loss on the season, still were the number 4 overall team at the end of regular season play. Being in the top 4 would mean that is the teams expected to be in the championship weekend. So they were able to accomplish that. The Binghamton Bulldogs there at 11, a very competitive team as well. They were the only team to defeat the Extreme over the past couple of years until tonight, where the Panthers took them down. But you see Panthers number 2 team there in the ABA. Another team that is very dominant there, finishing out the season undefeated. And last season, I believe they may have been undefeated or very, very few losses last year, going into the championship weekend as well. So another team like the Fury that are going multiple years with very few, if any, losses. Fury in their case have not lost in quite some time. Panthers with I think just one, possibly two losses over that time span. Extreme just with a handful over the past 2 years. But you see there, we also had a few teams in the South region according to these power rankings that the ABA power rankings they felt were higher ranked than the Austin Bats, which is interesting because the Bats again they are undefeated, 14-0 on regular season, still undefeated at this point. But you see there the Gulf Coast Gladiators with one loss were ranked higher. Atlantic Aliens, um, Guy Levy Legends as well, but the Bats there were number 7 because of that ranking. They ultimately took the number 4 seed in the um, remaining 4 teams. Aliens we see are a competitive team year in and year out, consistently ranked in that top 25. So I understand the rankings to an extent because of that. But as far as it goes, those were the undefeated teams on the year. So Austin Bats, I'm sure they've got a chip on their shoulder today, especially playing the defending champions. Um, you know, they have that matchup going on right now, and I think I clicked on that. But you can see all the different events going on for this weekend in St. Louis. You've got events starting today. The Final Four, ABA 3 Nationals, which I'm really interested to see. That is the 3-on-3 tournament that the ABA is hosting for the championship weekend here, and I think it's going to be interesting to see the number of teams that are participating, as well as the extent of it. How long it goes, and how many rounds it goes. Just because of how many, it's going to depend a lot on how many teams are involved and show up for that. Then we got the annual league meeting, Celebrity All Star Challenge, Ownership Summit. Obviously, you got your championship game and then All Star game, and there's an awards luncheon. Tonight, it looks like they are also running a couple of promos. So you got the celebrity, or not celebrity, got the opening ceremonies for tonight, prior to that first game tip off, and then game 2, and throughout tonight, it is youth night um, in the championship weekend. The ABA did post that youth night for tonight, so family friendly fun this evening for everyone interested in watching those games. Again, located in St. Louis, at the St. Louis Community College, Forest Park. And I don't know, yeah, it doesn't look like they have like an exact breakdown of timing or anything of that nature. Um, but those are the events going on for this weekend. Keeping an eye out. I still don't see anything in regards to any kind of posts or any updates for the game that is ongoing currently. Assuming the tip-off was as scheduled at 7, I believe we should be getting close to that game nearing an end. But a lot of it, is going to depend on just social media posts and such within those organizations. Being that this game is behind a paywall for this year, it does seem, as far as I can tell. So otherwise, you can still get tickets if you do want to go out to the championship game and championship weekend. You can still buy tickets for that, or you could stream live on that live stream stl.tv site, as well as their um, Roku app there too. And let's go back and take a look at how we got to this point here with the last round of playoffs, and see who exactly got taken down through these paths as we reached the final four. Uh, got my stats portal up over here. So working backwards from this, I think is a little bit easier. As we see there, Guy Levy Legends and Silicon Valley Panthers. That was the last remaining game for the regions out in the West. That was just a couple of weeks ago there. But Guy Levy Legends, or if you remember, they are a higher ranked team as far as power rankings go. But obviously, we've seen that they're not higher ranked team than the Panthers, but a higher ranked team than the Bats, a team that is in the Final Four. Obviously, you can't have multiple teams from the region, so it goes without saying, I should say. But the Legends were ranked at number 6 with 2 losses on the season, but they were pretty handedly defeated by the Panthers. Panthers, very, very good team as well. And had a couple of decided victories there. But that was a 29-point victory there over a team in the top 10. So very large win there. And then also another 20 plus point victory in the week prior where they faced off against the Wolfpack. Tucson Buckets fell to the Legends as those were the 2 final games within the Western region. And then if we look over in the East for the championship game over in the East, Buffalo Extreme defeated the Jersey Express 99-91, which it's interesting to note because the game for today, the Buffalo Extreme and Panthers matchup, that was a 93-85 victory for the Panthers. So a lower scoring total there than I think anybody would have expected. I think typically with the ABA games, you're going to expect at least 100 plus. But we can see with the playoffs on the line, it may be some improved defensive efforts. Especially there for the Panthers. I mean, if you just look through at the games when you're skimming through, the Panthers do seem to be a pretty high scoring team. So valiant effort from both of those teams there in today's matchup, but also a little bit of a shocker when it comes to that point total there. Regardless, though, the Extreme with an 8-point win over the Express to secure the Eastern rights. In the South, we see the Bats defeated the Gulf Coast Gladiators 130-118. And the Gladiators were a team that were ranked higher in those power rankings than the Bats, even though they are in the same region. And the Bats were undefeated. Gladiators with 1 loss on the season, but Gladiators were the number 3 team on that final power rankings. They did fall by 12 points, though, to the Austin Bats. Chicago Fury, defending champions, representing the Central region, took down 402 Elite in a 113-98 victory. So pretty much all of those games were decided by double digits, aside from the Eastern region there. That was the only matchup that was within 10. If we go a little bit further out, we can see the weekend prior, before, or the games the day prior, that got the teams to the regional championships. We see Chicago Fury took down the Steel City Yellow Jackets at 100-86. Austin Bats against the Atlanta Aliens. Again, Aliens, another team that was ranked higher than the Bats, with a 4-point loss. Bats with a 105-101 victory. So close matchup on that one too. Aces and Lions, that was the complicated, interesting story one. If you do remember, the Aces and Lions both went and traveled out to Chicago after the league ruled that they needed to replay the last 10 seconds of the matchup from the week prior. They did do that. Then that game went into overtime, and it last first time I played, it went into overtime too. However, things turned out a little bit differently, as the Aces then in this rematch, or replay of the matchup, went on to secure a victory in overtime. And another thing of note was the overtime period in the first matchup. Wound up running for 5 minutes for the period, but that did get corrected to the 3 minutes that it should be in this second matchup. Um, Something it's something that I say multiple times, and I know I've said it a few times, not only on this podcast, but also on the game streams we've been doing. That the overtime rules, they are unique for the ABA, and a lot of times I think maybe the refs and just in general, people aren't aware of the difference in these rules. So you go to the more traditional, 5-minute overtime period, and then you keep playing that. But the ABA has a unique 3-10 and out rule when it comes to overtime periods. That's a 3-minute overtime period. If they are still tied after that, it goes to the elam ending. So the next team to score 10 points wins the game. So it's not time period after that. It is till a certain score. So you add 10, that is how it moves on. But obviously, the first thing you do is you play the 3-minute period, and not a 5-minute period. So that ultimately is what happened, and they went through that 3-minute period. Lions were leading very late in the game. However, on a shot as time expired, there was a foul on a 3-point shot. Down one, the Aces were able to knock down the first two free throws and ultimately advanced from that matchup. So interesting matchup. One I did watch, and if you follow Minotaur streaming, they streamed um, the games, the at least the first game. So I did just want to shout them out. They did a lot of those games for the Lions, and that was their most watched game. I'm actually going to pull that up and see what they're up to now as far as the total goes. But that first time of the matchup there between the Lions and the Aces, the one that eventually had to get replayed. They're at 977 views, so almost 1,000 views. That's crazy. That's big numbers there for Minotaur, and they always do an amazing job with that stream. But just an interesting side note for somebody else, that does the game streams and such. If we had that number, that'd be pretty crazy. But almost 1,000, so pretty cool to see. Keeping going down this list here, though, the Aces then went on and faced the 402 Elite. That game also wound up going into overtime. Aces with the lead for a good portion in the beginning, but then they slowed down at the end, and in overtime, the Elite really carried it away with a 7-point victory, 138-131. Then taking a look out in the East, the Extreme took down Wyoming Valley Clutch, 117-95. And over in the East as well, the New England Lightning fell to the Jersey Express pretty handedly there with an 87-119 loss. Kissimmee Lambs, another team that had been up in the power rankings throughout the season, finished at the number eight ranked team in the final power rankings. They fell to the Gulf Coast Gladiators, 108-115. And then if we go the week prior to that, just focus on the games for the teams remaining. Binghamton Bulldogs and the Extreme 1-point loss there for the Bulldogs. Extreme get the rights to move on there. So very, very close matchup there. And I think those are the two teams in the East that I would expect in the continuing near future to continue to represent the East. Those are two very competitive teams. And we take a look at the Silicon Valley Panthers. They continued their path by defeating the Fresno Flaming Sunrays, 142-132. One of their closer games there as well. Chicago Fury took down the Windy City Inferno, 119-105. Fury, pretty much they've been able to have a pretty decent margin of victory, it seems like, in most of these games. And then the Austin Bats with a 126-105 victory over the Alamo City All-Stars. So that is how the final four teams got to where they are. Being that it is the final week of ABA action, we may as well take a look at the player stats and just share the guys that were at the top of the leaderboards for this season. Again, it might not be, I thought, oh, it is leaders. That is what I meant to click. The leaders for the stats, just so they get the recognition for what they have done for this year. And it looks like it has the auto filter of 8 games minimum. So most points per game, Verdugo Connor for RRL. I'm gonna have to click on that to see if it gives us the full team name there. The Rio Rico Lobos. It looks like he had 46.2 points per game. That is crazy. You see right there, he had a 70-point game. That's absolutely insane. With 19 free throws, 33-point attempts. That is nuts. But he was efficient. I mean, that's crazy though. On the season, 41% from 3, 56% for 2, and 98. He literally missed 1 free throw on the season. That's pretty crazy. So definitely huge honors and congrats to Connor Verdugo for leading the league in points per game this season. That's very impressive. 46.2. Keep in mind that's more than Cam Mitchell that we've seen, and we know what Cam Mitchell is capable of. But definitely a huge honor there. You see a couple other guys over 40, Tyrone Jordan and Marquise Moore. And then in the 35 plus, we got Jarrell Tate and Dewarrick Spencer Sr. Total points, though, does go to number 2 overall, Tyrone Jordan. Assist per game, 15.2 for Jamichael Brown. And let's take a quick look through his stats. Austin Bats. So this is a guy we could see in the championship game. A guy that is still playing on the line here. but 15.2 assists per game. And very impressive stats actually. I mean, look at how well rounded that is. 25.3 points per game, 9.7 rebounds, and 15.2 assists, almost 3 steals there, nearly averaging a triple double. And that is for a point guard shooting guard. So a guard that's averaging almost 10 rebounds a game. But we see there, this guy had 68 points in a game as well. Again, efficient in that game too. So that's crazy. In that game, so 68 points, 12 rebounds, 24 assists, 7 steals. That is absolutely insane. Um, to see stats like that. But look at how these assists were. I mean, he literally had at least 10 assists in every game. Very impressive there. Definitely congrats to Jermichael Brown for leading the league in assists per game and assists overall and total, quite literally by 100 points or 100 assists overall in the league. Shamar Overstreet, number 2 though, 11.3. Somebody that we have seen against the played against a few times with the Louisville Pros. I do believe that is what that abbreviation should be. Yes, Louisville Pros. A very good season for him as well. With he did average a triple double, 22.8, 12.5, 11 and 3. And Dominique Williams as well for Louisville. Over 10, you also have Christopher Cremarte, Brigitte, Flanoy. Rebounds per game, Austin Capri, 17.5. Somebody we played against there as well. We saw, what he was able to do this season. And you see every game except for that one, over 10 rebounds, and over 20, it looks like most of those games there too. And leading the league in total rebounds, though, was Dominic McGuire. Looks like he did not make the top 5 as far as that goes, though, for per game. But he did lead the league in defensive rebounds there. And then Mitchell Zaire with 154 offensive rebounds. So congratulations to both of those guys as well. Blocks per game. Got Usman Harana at 3.9. Maybe a little bit less than AB from last season. And that is for the Texas Purple Knights. Also averaging nearly a triple double, 9.5, 11, and 9. I guess more almost a double double. But you see there with multiple blocks in just about every game he played in, 8 blocks in one of those games and 7 in another. And then it looks like Dominic McGuire had the most on the season though with 56. Steals per game, yeah, Antonio Hunt with 7 per game. Also on the Purple Knights. Yeah, let's see. Just a very, very consistent number there. He really did get just about 7 every game. Not any crazy one game outliers or anything. That really was a very consistent, just about 7 every week. And then Cortez Cheney with the total leader though, 91 on the season. So that is the leaders for this season. I wonder if you can do. Yeah, it looks like you can do the black division. So So would be interested in seeing this. And honestly, a lot of the guys that you may not see for the Instigators is because of how the stats got reported, and we may not have had all the stats reported throughout the season. So that does honestly fall on us. Points per game, it looks like Chicago Fury, Devontae Jones, 28.1. Instigators, we do have Malcolm Martin there at 20.5. Um, it's interesting though because Levante Nelson was at 239, so he did score more points on the season, but somehow it looks like he did not have more points per game. So 14, maybe he had missed a game. Maybe Malcolm missed a game at some point. But that's the only thing I'm thinking. And we also, and I will say, if you go and look at Levante here, we just did that most recent broadcast. We did not report properly the stats on here for his 42-point game, the final game of the regular season against the Nashville Aces. That is the franchise record. Hoosier State Instigators single game record, 42 points in that game. So that is not reflected on there. So that I think would be the difference and get him to the most points per game. And then obviously his points total on the season would increase there as well. And that I honestly think would put him as the leading scorer in the division for points on the season. I don't know about points per game, but I think he would be the leading scorer in points as far as the reporting goes on this. Assists per game, though, we've got several guys on there. We've got Dame Wilburn, 5 assists per game, Rico 3.9, and JoJo at 3.5. So definitely good distribution and teamwork. And with this season, we saw a lot more plays ran, and you see there 3 guys in the top 5 within the within our division um, for assists per game, and 2 of the top 3 for total overall assists. Taking a look at rebounds per game, Austin Capri, obviously, he was in the national conversation when it comes to that, leading the way. But it is interesting to note there, as far as rebounds per game, it is quite literally Capri at 17.9, and then the next person is less than 10. So gives you an idea of some of the play throughout our division here. Um, And then as far as like rebounds overall, obviously he's got the most overall. Defensively, offensively though, um, the Southland Saints, it looks like Chris Winters led the way with 1 more than Capri. Blocks per game, Capri with the most blocks. And block numbers, I mean, compared to last season with the Instigators, it's a little bit lower. But LB, he did make the top 5 for blocks, both on the season and for the per game with 8 total and almost 1 a game. Steals, we had Dame in the top 5 there as well. And number 3, 2.5 steals per game. And then number 4 overall on the season, well, tied for number 3 on the season within the division. So a couple of guys there within the division, divisional top 5. And then we also got Chuck up here on the rebounds, as far as most rebounds in the overall, number 4, and defensively number 4. I also did see, I didn't realize this initially, Levante Nelson was 27 offensive rebounds. And again, we don't have that one game reported properly, so he could be even higher than that. But that ties him for number 3 in the division for offensive rebounds. That's a guard. So one of our guards leading the way as far as the offensive rebounds go. But that is look at the stats from this season, um, and just kind of a review from the season. Taking a look as we go into, as we are in championship weekend and all-star weekend. I'm looking forward to seeing the championship game obviously on Sunday. All-star events going on tomorrow. I believe they're going to do the same thing as last season, where it is the three-point contest and the slam dunk contest as well before the all-star game. They're supposed to have that 3-on-3 tournament, the ABA 3 tournament going on. So a lot of events still yet to go on, even though it is just this weekend for the finale of the 24-25 ABA season. A season where your instigators were ranked as high as number 16 nationally. First time ever we were in those power rankings. And we took down 2 top 10 teams at the times we played them, the Nashville Aces and the Indiana Lions. So an impressive year for the instigators, coming here to an end soon. Overall for the league, even though the instigators season has ended. But we will be going into that off-season mode here shortly. We'll have some more content coming out for Apex Athletic Collective with the streams coming up. We've got Amateur Night will be making a return, so look forward to that. And then we've been doing some promos for a new show that Frosty is going to be helping run, Dark Web Wrestling. That'll be a lot of fun, and that'll be coming out, I believe, in the next month or so. But you also have some Instigator stuff to keep an eye out for. So everybody who is at the fan voter or higher tier is going to get exclusive access, the same access that the owners, such as myself, and the players and coaching staff will get when it comes to the whole season review. So each year, this is something every year you'll be able to look forward to as a fan voter. And again, that's for everyone over on the Patreon. Thank you to everyone on the Patreon, all of our subscribers. We're right around that 150 mark right now. But that $10 tier or higher, that gives you exclusive access to the fan voter tier. And you get to vote on important decisions within the team. So you get to do the postseason player evaluations, coaching evaluations, and you will have access to provide your input and quite literally shape the future of the Hoosier State Instigators, just as we did last season, where we took that input and advice. And we tried to get the players back that you guys wanted, tried to improve as much as we could, and take that all that information that we got from that and use it as best as we could to implement it to shape the future of this season. And I think that is it's really cool to see, and know, myself as one of the owners, that the fans quite literally, we're all on the same level and have the same level of say. We'll pull everything together, and then evaluate that in the off season. And then this year we get the coaching evaluation for Coach Dobbs, who is our first coach in Instigators history to finish out a full season. So congratulations, Coach Dobbs, on that, and Julio as well. But that is an interesting fact to have a coach finish out a season for the first time. That's cool. And you'll have access to that. We'll have more votes throughout the off season. We'll do some fun ones too. Like naming the camera. We got that AI camera. My name for it's been Rob 2.0. Shout out to Rob for being the OG cameraman for season 1. But you'll have some other names, I'm sure, that our fans are gonna submit. We'll have a vote on that at some point. And then, just things going into shaping the future of the franchise again. We were doing the jersey update this season with the shorts, things of that nature. So keep an eye out. But the player evaluations and coaching evaluations, that should be out here shortly. And then I think they're going to run for a few weeks, almost a month. So that way it does give everyone time to not only complete them, but thoughtfully complete those. And then it also gives people some time to join and become that fan voter tier or higher if you are looking to get your voice heard in the future of shaping the Instigators for our season 3. So that's what we got coming up for your Hoosier State Instigators. Even though the season is over, I am taking one last look here to see if there's any further update within the ABA. As best as I can tell, I do not see anything posted from either of the teams or the ABA itself to this point. So I think we're just going to have to wait it out and see when one of these teams wind up updating and sharing it. So you may not find out until later this evening as far as who is going on and moving into that championship game to match up against the Silicon Valley Panthers. But it is either going to be the defending champion Chicago Fury or it will be the Austin Bats. Still TBD at this point, but I think if you pay that $19.99, you might be able to find it out beforehand and watch the games too. But that is, as far as I can tell, I don't have anything further when it comes to no updates on anything that I see. So I think you're just gonna have to wait and see. And next week we'll review championship game, how that went, and then also if they post stats and stuff for the 3-on-3 tournament, I'd be interested in seeing who winds up winning that, and if it is if it's a team within the league as well, and if it's a team that's active in the remaining games, or if the teams in the remaining games decided not to participate in that. But if there's still slots available, I think the the extreme and whichever team winds up losing this matchup tonight, they might as well sign up for that 3-on-3 tournament and see if they can run it that way. So they at least have bragging rights on one respective end. Regardless of what happens, though, it'll be a fun weekend. ABA All Star and Championship weekend's always fun. Last season, I was out there in Mobile, Alabama. Unfortunately, I won't be out there this weekend in St. Louis. Obviously, I'm still here in Florida, but lots of fun when that was last year. But we will have to see who that championship game is between and who winds up walking away as the 2024-2025 ABA champions. Chicago Fury, if they repeat, will be the defending champions, and they also will go 2 years without losing. They would also be, I think, the team that we I would say probably pushing for. Being in our division, I think we want to have the bragging rights of continuing to play the defending champions and the best team in the ABA. That's just my say, but it'll be interesting nonetheless. Next week we'll cover everything that happened as far as the game that's either still ongoing or recently finished that we are awaiting to see who won between the Fury and the Bats, and then the championship game on Sunday. So we'll break that down next week. Until then, as always, be great and instigate.